Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Phillip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Welcome to City Alpha 3, the Nerd Party Star Trek dedicated podcast. I'm Phillip Gilfus, joined as always with my co-host Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Gentlemen, how are you doing this week?
I'm ready. Let's do the it's been a good week. I think there's been a little bit of rewatching. Popped in a couple old next gen episodes. Thought I'd brush up. See, Daniel, I can watch something beyond Babylon 5.
Yay! We don't have to talk about Babylon 5 this week.
There's a new video podcast here on the Nerd Party, and that is starring Charlene and Patrick Schmidt, husband and wife duo, though I have to say I'm not a fan of married people doing a podcast. But they are doing a video podcast of Babylon 5, so you can check them on YouTube or at the Nerd Party website at nerdparty.com.
That was a perfect segue, Phillip. But yes, but it was fun. Yeah, again, just rewatching. I really wish Netflix had like a random option where you could say pick a random. Yeah, like just pick a random. Because it's like I always enjoy Trek, but choosing Trek is sometimes a little more difficult.
Darren, alphabetical feels a little random.
Well, it sounds good in theory, Daniel. How's it in practice?
Well, it's been a little while. It's been a little while.
Look, I had to wash the last show you made us watch out of my brain, Daniel. So I had to get rid of the lingering. These are the Voyagers.
So you watched the Pegasus episode? Is that
No, gosh, no. No, I just watched. I watched like Nth Degree, and
that's a good one.
Interesting.
Starship Mine. I mean, just random ones.
Though, if I remember, Nth Degree has a weird ending because it's like something like, oh yeah, and they passed along all this knowledge, and it's like we never talk about it again.
Nah, but I think it like fades away or something like that.
Philosophers and scientists will be studying this for years to come. And
isn't it like they give the information to the Federation? Or something?
Yeah, but they never talk about it again.
Yeah, no, okay. Look out for the Borg. Anyway. Well, Daniel, what have you been doing up in Paul?
Yeah, how's that rewatch going, Daniel? I mean, are we up to C's at least?
Oh, very close. Like, I think, close to the A, C episodes. A session, I think, is coming up next. So,
we're out of numbers, so hey, Mazel Tov. That's great.
It's tough. It's really tough. I play a lot of games. So that's kind of where a lot of my focus.
What are you? So you said Star Trek Online. What other games are you playing out there?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Is there like an 8th Halo coming out?
Actually,
or something?
What a great question, Phillip. Let me tell you about a game I played.
Sure.
This week I played a game called Video Kid.
Okay.
And Video Kid is a love letter to Paperboy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm familiar,
which I'm sure you're familiar with Paperboy.
Old school arcades. Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, when I say love letter, I mean it's the exact same game.
Oh, okay.
Wrapped in a new package, and but instead of delivering,
so their lawyers are calling our lawyers. Got it.
Well,
okay.
that's the thing. So,
is there a game called Hoverboard or Die? Because that's the game I want to.
Skate or die.
I just remember in the arcade because that's such a loud, like that's part of its thing. You'd be playing any other game, but you'd hear like across the arcade, skate or die.
It's
like, will someone just put in a quarter, please?
So, it's not only a love letter to Paperboy, but it's a love letter to that time as well. Mm-hmm. But instead of delivering papers, you're delivering VHS tapes to people's mailboxes. But every enemy that you encounter, every person that you have to try to avoid is a reference to mid 80s to mid 90s references, probably early 90s, mid 80s to early 90s references. So you mostly. So for example, you have to avoid hitting Big Bird on the street, or the Ghostbusters, are driving by, or Fraggle Rock is right in the beginning. So many references, so many
copyright
references.
Infringements.
Yeah, but they're always just off color, and they're all pixelated, so it's not direct representations of them. But you know what they are. You have to go into the sewers, and the turtles are down there, and there is a Star Trek reference in that game, where you're driving past Kirk and Spock in some downed red shirt as they're beaming up. So it's cutesy and clever in some ways. It's kind of frustrating in others. But it was a decent game, but lots of nostalgia. Lots of Care Bears. I mean, anything you could, Transformers, anything you could think of from that era. It's all in that game.
I was looking at Trek Card Twitter stream today, and one thing I felt bad about, I've never played Elite Force 2. I mean, just because I never got, and now, of course, I'm sure if I found an emulator, but it's too much work. Like, just Steam, get on it. But, so I've never played Elite Force 2. But what Trek Card had a little video of, there's a Mario Easter egg in Elite Force 2 where you can go down a pipe and suddenly you're in like a Mario verse.
That's funny.
as your character. So yeah, I actually did start today. I was thinking of you, Daniel. I had some time and I went on Star Trek Online, and it's always kind of frustrating because since I don't go there enough, there is a story, but there isn't really, but I kind of lose it with my characters. I have like 4 characters, but it's sort of like, I don't know where I am. I almost want to start again, but then that seems silly. But I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a Romulan character, because actually, at no surprise, I always pick the Starfleet people. Though I did have the one Jem'Hadar I picked. But I started to start as a Romulan, so I skipped the tutorial. So I didn't get very far, because I ended up having to head out of the house. But so
get ready for Empress Sela, because no spoilers. She shows up.
Yeah. So, but it's an interesting. I feel it's like one of those things where, if you don't have time to binge it, I feel like I should be taking notes. Like, okay, there's this commander, and then remember what the heck just happened. I mean, I know you can just play the game, but I do like to keep the story in my head. Cool. Anything else Star Trek? I did Doctor Who stuff, but I'm sure you're not interested. I'm trying to think of anything Star Trek per se related.
Didn't we just pass the
Star
Trek
birthday.
Anniversary? Yeah, the birthday.
52 years, right?
Yeah, 52 years.
Nice.
So I hope people should, I guess, rewatch The Man Trap, or don't.
Or just watch any Star Trek. Yeah, that's okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Except for these other voyages.
Yeah, maybe skip that one.
But it's a love letter, just no. Well, speaking of which, we did get a response. I don't know if we're allowed to do spoilers, but we did get a DM from who we mentioned earlier, Charlene Schmidt, co-host of Punch It. Yes. And we did issue a challenge for the Punch It podcast here on the network to rewrite These Are the Voyages, and they said challenge accepted. So we don't know when that'll be coming, but maybe something to look forward out. And maybe if you have suggestions, you can at them at Join Nerd Party and just say, here's Char and Tristan, here's some ideas to rewrite. These are
Don't kill Trip!
No, I think that's the part they'll keep, Daniel. I mean, that's obviously
just a suggestion.
Watch, they start and they're like, okay, so if anything happens, we definitely are killing Trip. I mean, that's like the part we
that's
can't
the one
change.
thing that we have
it's
to
a
keep.
fixed point in time, as we say in Doctor Who. So.
Oh, jeez.
So, for this week, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. And I would like to say it's because the NFL season here in America is starting, but I don't actually know that stuff. It just is a coincidence that that's what's happening right now. But no, what I wanted to do is do a fantasy Star Trek draft. So how's this going to work? Well, I didn't tell Darren or Daniel anything because I wanted them to just do this off the cuff, no research, unprepared. And we're going to figure out how we're going to do this here. So what I've done, and I won't reveal all the details yet, is I've created a matrix of point system. So you're going to have a certain number of characters that'll pick. I've done a sort of handicap for whoever picks the captain. The other 2 people will get a little special thing they get to do because, that's obviously a big thing. I will, in this drafting, it's going to be a round-robin draft, but I will go last. Just because, since I've built the game, I will handicap myself, and I'll be so it'll go like a D, the other D, and then me, and then keep on going till we've exhausted our draft players. Because we have, obviously, there's, the sports system with fantasy football or fantasy baseball, and then, of course, you base it on how your players perform in their games. And so how do you do that in Star Trek? How do you do it in Star Trek? So these are some matrix things. So this is what I've written down for the point system. So it's plus 10 points if the episode is about that character, minus 2 if the character gets injured, minus 10 if the character dies, because that, can happen because it's sci-fi and they'll just come back, I guess. Plus 2 if a character's family member shows up, +5 if the character ends up saving the day, -5 if the character's not even in an episode, +1 if the person goes on an away mission in an episode, +5 if the person goes back in time, +2 if the person flies a shuttlecraft, -5 if they destroy a shuttlecraft, -2 if they are in a transporter accident, -2 if they're in a holodeck accident, +2 if they win a fight, and +2 if they save a life. So I know if you weren't writing that down, there's more pluses than minuses, but I thought that was sort of a system. And so what we're going to be doing is, in this episode, the Fantasy Voyager draft. So as my wife and I are rewatching Voyager, this will be based on Season 2 of Star Trek Voyager. So, you gentlemen and myself will be picking from Janeway, Chakotay, Tuvok, Paris, Torres, the Doctor, Kes, Neelix, and Kim, which are 9 characters. There being 3 of us. Each of us will get 3 picks. Whoever does pick Janeway, the other 2 people will get to pick upon a special team roster composed of 2 characters, and that's going to be Ensign Wildman and Seska.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So where you're saying, I guess the episode part, does that mean when you're going to randomly pick an episode from season 2?
Me and my wife are watching all of season 2. As I watch this with her, I'll be keeping the stats for you. Whenever we're done, and I don't know when we finish, could be a month from now, could be 6 months from now, I will return, and we will have the winners of Fantasy Voyager Draft.
Now, just a quick clarification here, Philip. Is your wife yet aware that she is doing a Voyager rewatch?
I'm not sure. Because we're watching a lot of shows now. We started watching Psych on Amazon Prime, and we have some other 2 or 3 other shows we watch occasionally, so I'm not sure.
Doctor Who, perhaps, maybe once or twice.
Yeah, well, that's for, so yeah. That's the randomizer, by the way. We're our Doctor Who rewatch. But, yes, or watch in her case. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have her on and when we can figure out. Because I was watching, I will have to rewatch 2 episodes because we're actually 2 episodes into season 2, so I will rewatch those 2 for statistics purposes.
Okay.
So, in order to just figure, I'm going third. So, in order to decide whether it's Dan or Daniel who gets the first draft picked, I will do this in the only fair way I can think of possible. I'm writing down a number. So, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. The person closest to the actual number, or if you get it right, will get to go first. So, Darren, number between 1 and 10.
6.
Okay. Daniel, a number between 1 and 10.
If I'm going to go 5, then.
It was 7, because 7 of 9. Duh. All right, so Darren is...
Duh, obviously.
Duh.
No, actually, I just wrote 7 and then thought it made sense. Okay, so the draft picking will go Darren, Daniel, and myself. Now, when you pick someone, I want you to explain why you're picking that character, and if you personally like them or not. Why you may not like the character, but you're like, well, I think they'll perform well, or I do like them, and this is why they perform well. So just tell me a little bit about the character you're picking and why you're picking them and how you think you will do with that character. Because once we get to the end and the last draft pick, you may have to be scraping the barrel. So, all right. So, Darren, who is your first draft pick?
Well, I'm trying to remember season 2 because it's been a little
That's
while.
why I didn't tell you all. I didn't want any research done. So you're just going to have to go into it blind.
Well, I don't really want to handicap myself with the captain. So I'm gonna go with some would say the safe bet and go with the Doctor.
Dang
Doctor.
it!
Okay.
That's what I was gonna do.
I mean, he's not full. I know in later seasons he definitely gets a good amount of the episodes, but even in this early, Kes-filled time, I'm gonna go with him because he's super versatile. I mean, you were listing like saving the day, and I mean, I'm pretty sure there's often times where he saves the day, or at least contributes to saving the day. So I think that's going to give me some bonus. He doesn't fly a lot. I don't think he can even leave the sick bay at this point. But again, it's season 2, so I think it's a pretty safe bet.
Okay, all right. So Daniel, it sounded like that was going to be your first round draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of reasons, because he's awesome. But
no, you could just there's some people who do a draft team based on the numbers, or they just like the way they look in uniforms. That could be your, there's no rhyme or reason. You could still win. So now who is your first round draft pick?
I'm gonna go with Tom Paris.
Okay.
I know he doesn't get a ton to do all the time, and I know Threshold is a season 2 episode, isn't it? Isn't it from season 2?
I don't know. I'm not looking up. No research.
I think it was. It's been a while. Again, when you make me watch this stuff, Daniel, I just kind of try to forget it as soon as possible.
But I think it's partly I like Tom Paris, and partly a lot of the other characters seem crippled. Like you said, Darren, picking Janeway seems to be problematic at best, and picking some of the other characters might have some issues as well. I like Tom Paris. I think generally he comes out on top and is involved in the action somewhat, especially early on. I remember him being more of a thing before like him and B'Elanna became a thing. So I'm gonna go Tom. Tom Paris is gonna be my number one pick.
Well, I have to admit, you all surprised me. So I'm just going to pick Janeway because I think you all are silly. So Janeway is my first round. I was giving you all the chance to pick it. But yeah, I'm picking Janeway because she's the captain, obviously. And, this isn't Discovery, where we just pay attention to the not captain and we change him out every year. But yeah, no, I'm picking Janeway because I think, no matter what the season, she's going to be an A player, even if this isn't latter season where it's just Doctor into the 7 all the time. But so I think Janeway's going to be a solid performer. I don't know. And again, I did glance at episodes just to make sure I was doing right, but I did not memorize it. So I don't know if there's the one where she dies and sees her father. I don't know what season that is. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously great character. I think personally, and I know I like Voyager than say other people on this podcast, but she can be problematic. I think season 2 we're still just on the way home. I don't think
it's still Bun of Steel era,
yeah,
I believe.
I can't think of anything controversial episodes per se that we're gonna get. Go ahead.
Just a question, because is season 2, and obviously you may not know this, but is season 2 the episode where they encounter the other Voyager and everybody dies? Does that count
Operation
against
Oblivion?
Does that count against?
I'm pretty sure that's way later.
I think it is way later, because if you remember in that episode, the blobby Voyager is when Tom and B'Elanna get married.
No. Nope. You're thinking of the wrong episode.
Oh, no. You're thinking of Parallax or Parallax or
Parallax?
Where it's the 2 Voyagers?
Yes.
That's what you're thinking. I think that may be. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're right.
Yeah,
seems like an early Voyager episode.
Where everybody dies.
Except a baby.
Everybody dies.
Well, one person doesn't, but I'll let you figure it out. As we go into the second round, we have picked the Doctor, Paris, and Janeway. So let me cross some things out and go over your available personnel. You have Chakotay, Tuvok, Torres, Kess, Neelix, and Ensign Kim. So, Darren, back to you.
So it's between Torres and Tuvok.
Yeah.
TNT.
The battle of the T's.
Yeah, it's.
TNT.
I'm just trying to think. My initial thought would be to do Torres because it's like this is I think when she's she's chief engineer and she's doing a lot of stuff, but I can't remember if we're in Tuvik's territory because I mean that's.
Let's hope not, because then Janeway automatically loses.
But that's Well, it depends on who's ranking.
And then would I count that as a Tuvok death?
No.
Controversial.
I think you kind of have to, because not a lot of people. You have to, because main characters barely die in this show. So.
You should count it as a Janeway murder, if anything.
I did not put down -2 for murdering. Maybe we'll do that next time.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with my gut and go with B'Elanna. I think she's definitely winning the day more at this point than later on when she gets a little more desperate for getting home. And Tuvok, I feel like Tuvok, he is a more major character, but
is he?
Well, but that's the thing is, we still are giving a lot of time to B'Elanna and the Doctor and Captain. Before Tuvok is kind of that second tier character, I feel, as far as like screen time.
And then how do you, personally, what do you feel about B'Elanna Torres as a character?
No, I think she's a great character. I think they, like many of us, we feel, I wish we had gotten more of the Maquis-ness of her, where maybe she had more ways of doing things, or maybe went against the system, but she kind of slipped into that Starfleet uniform a little too easily. But no, I think she's a really good character, and I'm really glad that she's in Star Trek. I think it would be interesting to see her on the Discovery.
You know, I was listening to, as a Doctor Who podcast, so I apologize. But I was listening to a Doctor Who podcast, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the Verity podcast, I believe so. And they're doing a series on women characters in Doctor Who, and so they sort of called it their Kicky Stabby series. But one of their points was, and it's an all women podcast, that sometimes when strong, quote unquote, strong female characters are being written, they have to be sort of overly so. I mean, they're saying that's unfortunate, of course. So, like, they're using different examples. If we have Doctor Who fans like Leela, who's like killing everything anytime she's in a scene, or whatever, and they're like, or Ace, who's always like blowing things up. Which I mean, they're great characters. Don't get me wrong, but they're sort of saying like you can have a strong female character without them trying to kill everything. And I think Star Trek does suffer from that because you have Torres. Of course, that's part of her character, half Klingon, but she's sort of throwing things and punching people. And then you have like a Kira who's punching people and shooting things, and you have a Yar who's kicking. It's like nothing wrong with women kicking ass, of course, but it's sort of like you can do a strong woman character without being literally kicking and stabby. But anyway,
I would counter that argument with Dax, but
Dax, she doesn't. Well, she starts to become more Klingon.
She has the capability to do that, but that's not like the core. That's not the core of her character. It's
no, I would agree.
She's so multifaceted that doesn't even. That's not even one of the first things you think about when you think about her character.
And sidebar, there's a person who works at my job whose name is Dax, and it's really hard to keep a straight face whenever we have a meeting together.
Which one?
Is it Curzon? Or...
No, it's earlier than that. It would have to be, I can't remember, maybe the pilot? Anyway.
Maybe the second host.
Are they a ballerina?
Oh, they had, I recently saw it was Dax's birthday, the symbiont, and I can't remember what, because it apparently was, I guess, was established when the symbiont was born.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Like it was within this decade, I think. But anyway.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, you'll have to Google that if you get bored here. So Daniel, second round draft pick.
I also would have picked.
Should have picked 7.
Just if I had picked 7 instead of 6, I would have had all my top picks. And
you know what you should have gone? You should have said, "What is the lowest bid?" and gone with.
It's a really interesting thought process here that's going on for me, especially since last week we did these are the Voyages. I don't think Voyager really excelled at this, but it definitely was better at secondary characters than Enterprise was. We're talking about this. It's like Tuvok is I think a criminally underused character. Like. So much like he's an interesting character to me.
From his time on the Enterprise B and the time on the Enterprise D and the time on
the time he went to the sand planet with the big comb. All of those things.
Look, he doesn't want to talk about it. He didn't find anything.
I love Tuvok. Actually, I'm a big Tuvok fan.
And really? I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I really do like him, and I actually really like especially early on when they established that pre-relationship with Janeway and Tuvok. Mm-hmm. Which they tease, they kind of touch on it every now and then. Oh, that episode where I can't even remember. I won't even go into it.
Well, I mean, this is first season, so I'll talk about it freely. So 2 things that I'm thinking of. One is I can't remember the episode title, but anyway, it's an old pleasurable captain. That episode where he, as you say, takes it among himself to sort of make the deal on the side. To steal, quote unquote, steal the technology.
Right.
And then there's that great scene with Janeway and Tuvok where she first dismisses Torres. Yeah. And then she's like, I don't even know what to do with you. This is not your job. You're supposed to be my conscience, And so it's this great scene, of course, with Mulgrew acting. But yeah.
Yeah, and even the Endgame stuff. It's kind of heartbreaking as well, with what happens to Tuvok and that. But whatever, it's so criminally underused. I really I feel like Tuvok is one of the strongest Voyager characters, and we never really.
He can definitely bench press more than any. Oh, you meant. Okay. Well, of course, the last season 1 episode was with Tuvok being the trainee, or was the takes them the Maquis to boot camp episode.
That's a good. I like that episode. That's a good episode.
Now, is that the training one, or is that wasn't the Tom Paris simulation one?
No. This is one where he takes all the Maquis losers and
the Bolian.
Yeah, Chell. That's crewman Chell. We all love Chell from Elite Force 1.
Chell.
Yes. And then the other. Though I thought it was interesting because the Bajoran kid, because he's a younger male, takes off his earring because Tuvok's talking about uniform inspection. I'm like, I thought there was the Ensign Row exception. I thought they were allowed to. Didn't they change
Riker didn't think that was an exception. So
well, I thought, but at the end, she got the deal with Captain Picard, but maybe that was just a Captain Picard.
Is this the flagship of the Federation?
No, this is about the size of the shuttlecraft in the Enterprise.
It is the flagship in the Delta Quadrant.
That's true. That is true. I should have made that joke more often. But anyway,
here's the thing. I would have picked Torres, and I'll be damned if I'm going to pick Neelix or I'm still going to pick Tuvok, but I kind of feel like I'm undercutting myself because I know he's not used to his full potential at least. But you know what? I don't care. I love him as a character. I think he's great. I think Tim Russ did a fantastic job, and that's going to be my second pick.
Okay, well, I think it's a solid pick because I think there's a lot of things that I've created here. Just the main, the episodes about him is a lot of points, but there's all these other things that can add up or subtract, depending upon which. Okay, so my pick, I'm afraid I'm going to be a personal pick. This is, points be damned. I'm going to go with one of my favorite characters. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but I'm picking Kes. And, doing the season 1 rewatch, it takes a sec, because season 1's like half a season. Not the Star Trek TNG episode. It's different than that.
Yeah, I think it's only, 15, 16 episodes or something?
It's that, yeah. It's because it was a mid-season, whatever you call it.
Oh, that's right.
So there may be 11 episodes or 12 for all I know. But anyway, because I think Kes, the more you watch her, you always think delicate flower, sort of like the shadow of Neelix. But no, because she's the one responsible for everything the Doctor gets in season 1. She's the one, telling him to be a person. Why don't you have a name? No, you are a person. She's the one who goes to Janeway and says, why aren't people treating him? And tells Janeway to go see him. And she sort of tells people what to do, and they just do it because it's Kes. And you're like, oh, it's Kes. I'm not going to say no to that face. So she just has a lot of quiet strength. And she's not even necessarily quiet. And then, of course, she's developing her telepathic abilities. And I think it's criminal that she left the show, but it may have just been personal reasons. But anyway, so I'm picking Kes. I think she is not an underutilized character. I mean, they could have used her more, but I think she is valued lower than what she really is. So.
For whatever it's worth, Philip, I also like Kes. I think she is... The Neelix stuff is take it or leave it, but a lot of the other stuff is pretty good stuff.
I mean, I was thinking, and I know this is always going to be the creepy thing, but I'll go ahead and say it. I feel like there should have been more physical, not inappropriate, but not Discovery physical, but 90s Trek physical between her and Neelix, because they never did it early on. They never kissed or never
you're never told. You're not shown.
Yeah, you never bought that they were in a relationship. They have separate quarters, which I mean, whatever. Maybe they're waiting till they get not married or something. But even then, it just seems like if they're in a relationship, just go ahead and do that. But they didn't.
Are you saying you wanted more beer pong on Voyager? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, less something scenes with Klingons, that's for sure. But anyway. Yeah, and so that was, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Neelix because that's the next round. If that was part of her character, is that she and Neelix in a relationship. Otherwise, it just seems like they're just really good pals. And so it's well.
More uncle niece sort of relationship than,
And I don't know if it's this season. I doubt it because I feel it's way too early. Well, I know she wasn't in that long, so maybe it's season 2 or season 3 when she thinks she's pregnant, or when she starts, whatever.
That was Elogium?
Yeah.
Is that the name of the episode?
Starts ovulating. I don't know, whatever you call it. But anyway.
Sporing?
Yeah, but that's, I think, and I'll have to rewatch it, but if memory serves, that was a good relational episode for them. Because then you, like, kind of bought there was something going on. Though even then it seems like I'm going through this phase, and I don't know, you, I guess. You know, you're the closest person I know. Not that we have this relationship, emotional and physical, and we're lovers. It's just like, well, I mean, you're the one that I think is the closest here, so I'm picking you, Neelix. So I just never knew how to do that, I guess. They never committed to that relationship. All right, gentlemen, we are in our last round. I mean, not counting the special team bonus round, I guess. But in our last round, and we have, oh boy, Chakotay, Chuckles himself, Neelix, everyone's favorite Delta Quadrant.
Oh, man.
And Ensign never promoted Kim.
Oh, man. The who's who of top tier Voyager characters. All right.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel
I
here.
told you we'd get to this point. So, Darren, the first pick is to you.
You know, I'm actually going to go between... I'm trying to decide between Neelix and Chakotay. Like, again, in early seasons, like, Neelix got actually quite a bit of screen time, you know, and but then Chakotay would also get full episodes that were just all about him. And I'm trying to remember, it's hard to remember where his were in the season. Curse you for picking this obscure season.
I knew season
in Star Trek.
A lot of Voyager is actually unclear, and of course that's one of the criticisms. It's sort of like, I don't know, something 7, and then after that it's sort of like, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Neelix.
Okay.
You know, he's plucky and fun, and I feel
like you say that, but you're sort of not meaning it. You're like, you're reading from a script. Neelix, he's plucky and fun.
Yeah, I'm reading from the back of
he
character
dresses
card.
kind of funny. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, okay, so was it Ethan Phillips? Is the
No,
actor, right?
yes, correct.
Like I feel Ethan Phillips is a good actor, and I guess I'll put it this way: I wish we had gotten more of the depth that we got with like Phlox with Neelix, who's kind of the outside character, who's the alien, who's the we don't know a lot about. Phlox is that done well. Yes, Neelix absolutely. Had the potential, but didn't. And so I feel like Ethan Phillips could have carried that, or like Quark. Yeah, Quark is also absolutely. That character.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it just, I think it was, he just wasn't given the material to do that. And then the character was just kind of shoved to the side. So I think, I don't feel Neelix is a bad character. I just feel that he wasn't given the opportunities, which is hard. I mean, it's hard in a giant Star Trek cast show, to really divvy everything out. And especially in later seasons where you add, 7 of 9, you add a whole other character, I know, Kes dropped off, but still it's allocation of time and resources really to these characters. So I'm going to go with Neelix. I do like Neelix. I think he does have a caring side. I like, I know people have thoughts of the Borg children, but I like his interactions with them. I like his interactions with Naomi Wildman. I think he's a very parental, and the fact that he's not Starfleet, the fact that he can connect with new aliens and new people kind of almost as I don't agree with how Starfleet does this, but hey, let me tell you this and let's work something out on the side. Like, he's a good guy, and even if he probably at this stage he's still trying to cower in his ship whenever they go investigate something.
Yeah, and again, I watched this rewatch with just what I watched, and I think Neelix had a lot of promise because he was a disruptive element. You already have
something different. You
have this Starfleet and Maquis, which sort of happens a little bit, but then doesn't really go anywhere because everyone kind of just assimilates really quick, to use the term. But Neelix is like, I built a mess hall in your dining room, and you're like, what? And then sort of like, I'm, gonna. He's
an ask for forgiveness kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not really an ask for permission kind of guy.
And it's not like a thing where, with either the Starfleet or even the
bio quarantine. I just brought that cheese on board. I didn't even care.
Right, and forcing, telling, dressing down Janeway for using her replicator rations to make coffee. He's like, you have to be a role model for the crew. And, it's like you're talking to the captain. None of us would do that. But he's not Starfleet. And so it's not like the Maquis members who, like, when they get in trouble, it's like, well, you need to follow protocols. Neelix isn't Starfleet. He's not.
And he has ambitions.
Yeah.
I mean, in that alternate future, whatever, like we see him join. And I know Daniel has thoughts on Neelix joining
security,
tactical security.
I always like the idea.
But I do like the thought of that. I like the fact that it ties into what we wanted to see with Voyager, which was more, we're in this for the long haul. It's going to take 70 years. What kind of changes do we need to make? Like, it almost is like, let's delay those kind of decisions because I bet you we're going to get there earlier, and then they do, and it's like they never had to deal with that kind of stuff.
I mean, just imagine for a moment, Voyager, if upon contact with Starfleet, whatever that was, season 5 or 6, I don't even remember, they changed to the uniforms of the modern era and put everyone in a uniform. So Seven's in a uniform with the blue tunic. Right. Neelix is in the uniform with the yellow. So, like, by the end, it is a Starfleet crew.
Well, tunic, you mean, you're talking about, like, the collar.
Yeah.
By then, we were in first contact time.
But,
yeah.
With a jacket or whatever you would call it.
And I'm pretty sure the only reason they didn't do that is because of budget.
Well, I know why they didn't do it for 7, but... Oh, you're talking about the uniform change. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying to remake everybody's uniform, like, that's a ton of money.
Well, DS9 wasn't on the air anymore. I mean, you have to do the main characters, and then you just use the cast off.
So you're saying if they should have done that? Yeah, I mean, I agree. That would have been cool. I would have been fine with that.
It would have been like a season, because I don't know when they made Context, but just like the next season opener. No.
Or a scene where she literally puts it in the replicator, you see it do the thing, and then it comes out, and we're like, that's awesome! Who needs a tailor?
But actually, Darren, it was perfect that you mentioned both Quark and Phlox, who I was also thinking of do that archetype better. And I agree with you. I don't think it's the actor's fault. I don't even think it's Neelix's fault as a character. And Neelix does get some good stuff. That's not to say that he doesn't get some good stuff.
Because like season 1 is also Jetrel, if I'm saying that episode title right.
Oh, Jetrel?
Hardcore Neelix episode. Yeah. And I mean, that is, but again, it does not last that way.
I think on your other point, Philip, I can't remember for sure, but I think isn't it Pathfinder where they make the connection?
Yeah.
I don't think that happens till like season 6 or something. Yeah. It happens pretty late. But I need to do another. I'll trick myself into another.
Well, we know that
I won't even realize it.
They do contact Starfleet in the Andy Dick episode, which is before that.
But that was
that's true.
And the Doctor saw the new uniforms in that.
That's
episode.
true because Andy Dick was in the new uniform.
Yeah, so they could have easily changed in that episode, but.
They should have made a joke, like the Doctor being like, "Sheesh, it's been like 2 years. I can't change the uniforms again."
Or just the Doctor's the only one wearing the new uniform for the rest of the series or whatever.
Oh, by the way, I finally finished, but it was slow going. On my part, my audiobook, Star Trek Prometheus.
Oh yeah, how was that?
On Big Finish, I'm trying to remember the episode title of the first one because I have 2 books and I think it's a trilogy. Fire with Fire, and. There is a scene near the end in sickbay with their EMH, and apparently they called him like Trick because he has a tricorder. I don't know. They just made sense. But anyway, and
they actually gave him a name within the first 5 minutes.
Exactly. But they said in the novel verse that this set in that he's actually still an older model. That they're still in he's in EMH 2 version 2.0. And then now they're like on 5.0 or something, but they kept him because...
Okay. So is he Andy...
I think so. I mean,
Dick?
It's it's an English person based on an English translation of a German, so he wasn't exactly doing an Andy Dick imitation. But it was an interesting story, and obviously it kind of ends, not on a cliffhanger, but they don't really resolve the larger story because there's a sort of terrorist faction going on, and it's sort of still ongoing, which I imagine is why it's a trilogy. But it does... suffer a little bit from the Star Trek novel Smallverse, like there's Spock in it and Alexander in it, and and it's like, okay guys, we can just have new characters. We don't do you need Spock in it? I mean, really, that seems an overkill.
Spock's in everything.
So, but anyway, but it is good. I don't know if I'm sure it's an actual book if you can find it, but it is a decent audiobook. So anyway.
It's a brick with word.
Exactly. In your podcast. All right, Daniel, you got 2 choices left: Chakotay or Kim.
Boy, ever will I choose? I don't even know. Honestly.
I was going to say, are you being sarcastic or not?
No, I
can't
actually don't. I don't know. I like. I'm gonna pick Chakotay.
Good. I didn't want him.
Wow, man, Kim gets the shaft.
I'm gonna pick Chakotay. For a lot of reasons, none of which I can really describe right now. I don't.
Well, you could say I picked him. Well, why didn't you pick Kim then? Maybe it's a negative choice.
Because I like the idea of Chakotay as a character who could be semi-interesting with the whole Maquis past and.
He has a tattoo. Did you know?
He does. He has a tattoo. And I actually really like the aspect that is immediately dropped, like his veganism and his pacifism and all this sort of stuff that just goes away right away. I like the idea of the counter character to even someone like what we would consider in Starfleet. Although I don't know how he reconciled lots of whatever. I'm picking Chakotay because he's a better choice than Kim. And that's all I have to say.
Well, then give me the case against Kim now that you've saddled me with him.
He is, I don't know. He's junior. He seems to muck it up most of the time. He doesn't actually seem to actively help a lot. And he's whiny and obnoxious. At most, you can forget Chakotay's even there. Mm-hmm. At worst, Kim seems to be an obstruction, or someone to be taught a lesson or to learn something. He's certainly no one to lead the charge, at least until later on. I mean,
he's
you
a
could
grown-up Wesley.
He barely grown-up Wesley. I mean, we know Wesley at the same age that Kim is.
That's true. Actually, I mean, I say grown-up. Wesley ended up having the same rank as him at one time. So,
yeah, well, before he even went to the academy. So, And he doesn't remember being in the womb, so that's weird.
That'd be weird because she's right there. That's interesting. Yeah, with Chakotay, it was funny. We were watching it, and I'm trying to remember. It was probably the season. Okay, it's complete here, so I can spoil a little bit. We were watching the second episode. The second episode of season 2, which I forget what it's called, but it's the one with him and Not Nog. And who's playing with Kazon. So you automatically get 10 points. I'm telling you from that one.
Woohoo!
Because it's about Chakotay. But anyway, my wife asked, and I'm sure she meant this in the non-offensive way. She's like, "Wait, is there a tattoo planet?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Oh, how do Native Americans still exist in the 24th century? Is what she was asking. How are they still an active culture and everything? Because obviously, they've had disruptions. But so she's never seen was it Journey's End, I believe, is the episode that establishes the Native American planet or indigenous people planet and the Cardassian sector or whatever. So, and of course, that's where the whole Maquis thing starts and all that. So, but yeah, that was his first Kuchamoya episode. Though earlier, I'm trying to remember, it was a couple episodes earlier. I'm trying to remember which one where he showed Janeway his medicine bag and she took her, dream.
Look, it's not a great choice. I just picked.
I didn't want him
because I had
100% didn't want him, Daniel. I'm glad you picked him. I would have picked.
There you go.
If I had been ahead of you, I would have picked Kim over Chakotay.
I think what we've learned is you get first pick because it just rolls well from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is the TNG crew. This is not.
Yeah. Well, with Chakotay, and we can't say that all those characters, like it's not like Geordi had that many episodes about him. I think with Kim, I think he does do a lot. Like you said, it's not like he's not there. Though, if I can go in Chakotay for a second, I think it's interesting, and perhaps a good or a bad way, where you have this. It would have been interesting to learn more about his backstory, and I'm not even talking about the cultural aspect, though that too. But the story of him leaving Starfleet. What was his last position? Was he second officer on the USS Essex? What was his last Starfleet position? And then...
Well, we know that, don't we?
No. Not that I know.
Yeah, don't we? Wasn't he a instructor at the academy? I believe that's his backstory.
Maybe at some point. But I don't know. Because it'd been interesting to hear him leaving how that happened. Like, it would have been cool. Maybe sounds silly to see a flashback of that. Maybe there's some sort of episode that reminds him, or reminds all the Maquis, right? Would it have been maybe cool? Maybe this wouldn't have been cool to have
how they all joined the Maquis.
Yeah, to sort of have the Maquis, origin story of how they all met up.
If only there was an episode called Flashback.
When's the Maquis anniversary? Well, they're all dead now, so it doesn't matter.
Thanks, Eddington.
Thanks, Dominion. So anyway, but yeah, so I think that would have been interesting and to see. But anyway, so he has this Maquis personality or background, but he ends up being the more moralistic one sometimes between him and Janeway. There's so many times she makes these sort of, Captain Bligh, Captain Ahab choices, whether it's against the other, it's sitting right there, I can't remember the name of that ship. It's right on my shelf. The other Starfleet ship. That has Equinox. Thank you. I know it's like has an episode title and everything. But the Equinox, when she goes all crazy over there, or her deal with the Borg, which I'm not saying that was wrong per se, but that was another split with them. And Chakotay he's always measured. I mean, even when he's sort of disagreeing as a first officer should in private, but she's just like, no, you're confined to quarters for questioning my order, And he's like, But then again, like I said, he sort of is the peaceful person, yet he was the Maquis. And I'm not saying doesn't go together, but it is all interesting that he seems to always be on the not Maquis side.
Yeah, he's a character of contradictions, and that's why it feels like the writing is poor. And I wish we got a strong, like, if Janeway's a practical captain, which I think she is, he could have been a good foil if he was moralistic and traditional and that sort of thing. Like, he could totally have not been a foil to her, but obviously been that voice in her head that does that sort of stuff. That famous scene in the one episode where he punches the dude. This is how Maquis. Like, that feels already divisive of how that character's kind of been laid out. He is supposed to be that peacemaker, and we haven't seen that dynamic of a captain. Can't think of that we have. Like, the captain is the one that's, I guess, Spock maybe, but the captain was the headstrong one, and the first officer is more of like the reserved one. It's usually the captain is the one that's ready to go for it. You know what I mean? But anyways, sorry. No, tell me why Kim is a good character, Phillip.
Well, I think Discovery had
if you're talking about
Captain Crazy Captain Marin.
Lorca and okay, that's a little
Saru.
different. Yeah, Lorca and Saru. Yeah, that'd be a little different. Yeah,
the odd couple.
And Saru's great. Saru's the best character on the show.
Well, I'd have to think about that one. Oh man, don't make me think about who the best character Discovery is. That's my last round draft pick. But anyway, so with Kim, I mean, like I said, he's in a lot of he's there. I mean, I don't dislike him as much as apparently you do, Daniel. And again, this is I am flushing what comes ahead. But yeah, obviously not a lot comes for him eventually, He never sits down and finds a Pip sitting there, though he actually stands up most of the time. I also thought it was sort of odd to me that an ensign fresh out of the academy does get operations on a starship. I mean, I get Voyager's a smaller ship. I mean, they don't even get full commanders as first officer. That's how low of a value, I guess, ship that is. But, it still always seemed a little bit odd. Like, shouldn't he just be like the assistant operations manager, and then the ops guy died or girl died when they went to the Delta Quadrant, and then he took over? That would have made more sense to me. But anyway, I don't know. I can't think of anything that, because in first season, that's the one where he, dies, quote unquote dies, and goes to the planet where they, are sending the dead bodies to where Voyager is. Whatever, emanation, the last emanation, whatever that's called.
Oh,
Emanations. Yeah. So, I mean, that was semi-interesting. And, I don't know. A lot of crazy stuff happens to Kim. So, he goes down chutes, things like that. All right. So, we have our special teams left. So, Darren, I will put this on your head. Would you like to continue to go in the order we're going in, where you pick one and Daniel gets the cast off? Or do you want to do some sort of call it in the air? What do you want to do?
So remind me, so the special teams.
There are two characters that you two will only get as your sort of bonus
because we don't have the captain.
Yeah,
got it. I just say let's just call it in the air.
Okay.
Like I I think it's fine.
So, all right. So, I'll let since you've made a decision, I'll let Daniel call it. Oh, no, I'll just do another number. So, like, I have a coin. I don't have any coins. I think what I'm talking about. What is it? What century is this? All right. So we'll do the same thing again. I'm picking up a number 1 through 10. I'm writing down the number now. So, Daniel, what is your pick? It's
5.
5. Okay. Darren?
8.
Okay. It was 3. So,
Yes.
Daniel, your choice is between, is it Ensign Wildman? I think it is. Ensign Wildman, I'm trying to remember her rank, or Seska.
Seska.
Okay.
No.
Any particular reason other than just, it's a fun name to say?
She's still in the season.
She's definitely featured more. Yeah. And, yeah, that's it. Seska. She's just around more often. So,
Only because after you picked her. At this point, she's already been kicked off the ship. That was done in season 1. So she is Cardassian Seska in this season. So, all right,
should get bonus points for having
Cardassica.
Which, by the way, that was an episode I would have loved to gotten a second try at, because she's clearly the person. Like the episode kind of was sort of like, oh, it could be her or Carrie. I'm like, no, it's 100% her. And I'm not saying it just because I've seen this before. It's because you're telegraphing it from, like, the beginning that it's definitely her. Like, there's no mystery that it's definitely Seska who's the saboteur. But anyway, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, what are your thoughts about Seska, Darren, if any?
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, I mean, she's still in this episode. It's just the season. And I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched early Voyager. And again, it's one of those things where, I mean, was that always the plan, that she would get kicked off season 1 and then be around for season 2 a little? Or was she supposed to remain the foil for all 7? Like, was there a plan?
I don't know.
I'm kind of,
we didn't do plans back
now.
then, Darren. It was just Rick,
I've
Michael, and Jerry. Just
I've been spoiled by this long form storytelling I've been enjoying. That this unplanned Star Trek series is rubbing me the wrong way. So yeah, I mean, you know,
you say enjoy, I say.
Yeah.
Well, so you have Ensign Wildman.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts about Ensign Wildman?
Yeah, no, I like Ensign Wildman. I mean, she's kind of like the Barclay level character. You know, like she's very tertiary character, but again, you know, it's like, oh, hey, we have a pregnant lady. Let's deal with this. And it's like they mention it. They mention it, but it's like Voyager. It comes back to that thing with Voyager that we've all said, where they had that potential to be really different. And, I mean, show the ship age, show the ship be damaged, show the passage of time. And they just didn't. And this is another example of that. It's like you have families aboard. Like, you could have, I want a freaking nursery full of kids learning from the computer fish, you know, about...
Kess would have been a good teacher. I'm just throwing that out
about what's going on. Yeah, make her the teacher, although she's twice their age, technically, I guess. But anyway.
Well, she could relate, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little more interesting to get more of that. So, but yeah, I like Samantha Wildman. I think she's a good character. I'm sad that, you know, they remove her later.
Yeah,
but
you can only have one Wildman on a show. You get to pick one.
I
can't have.
Guess
it's wild men, not wild men. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go through our teams, and you can tell me how you feel about your chances. So I'm gonna go first. So I have Janeway, Kess, and Kim. That's quite a motley crew there. But I think for season 2, I'm feeling good. I feel like Janeway, of course, is the captain, so I feel like y'all were silly not to pick her. So I feel like I'm going to do really well with her.
Well, and isn't this the season that started with the 37s?
It did, indeed.
Yep.
So
that's a very Janeway.
No, I'm kidding. That's
heavy.
I don't know. I'll have to watch again. I mean,
that's a Janeway.
It's about
episode.
Amelia Earhart, you know.
Yeah. Who imprints on Janeway basically,
yeah.
But
and then Kess is I don't care if she's, you know, whatever. I'm going to pick her, and I'm happy with her. And I think Kim will get me a lot of points, too. So I feel, even without the special team, I feel like I'm very confident on my team. So, and I'm going to have to name this team, aren't I? All right, I'll have to think about this. So anyway, Daniel, we'll have to name our teams at the end of this, so just be thinking about this. So Daniel, we'll do it at the end when we do our contact information. So Daniel, your team is Paris, Tuvok, Chakotay, and Seska. How are you feeling about your team?
I already know my team name. Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. Okay, what is it?
Well, it's the Benedicts.
Okay.
Because they're all traitors.
Oh, I like it. Except Chakotay's like, wait, Tuvok betrayed me, Seska betrayed me. Paris was, he betrayed, right? He betrayed too, because
they're all traitors. We're the Benedicts.
Was anybody working for me on that dang ship? I think that's a better name for a group. Was anybody working for me on that dang ship?
It's a little mouthy. It's a little long.
So, how do you feel about your team, Daniel? You think you're going to win, second place, loser?
How do you feel?
Yeah, that's right.
And the thing is like it's kind of a toss-up. I don't remember season 2 and well enough to say comfortably where I land on it. I think I've got a good shot. I'm not convinced that I don't have a chance. So
you're a wild card, you think?
Yeah, you could say that, or a wild man.
That's right. There you go. Now, my team name I just figured out is going to be K3 because I have Catherine, Kess, and Kim. So I'm K3.
Man, now the pressure's on. Okay, guys, thanks.
Okay,
thanks a lot.
So Darren, your team is quite diverse. These are don't know if they ever have a scene all together. Doctor, Torres, Neelix, and Ensign Wildman. So how are you feeling about your team? You think this is the winners, or are you worried? What are you thinking?
I wish I'd gotten a step above Neelix because I feel by then I feel like it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking the Doctor's going to help me a lot in the save the day because often even if he's not
your utility
the episode's not about him, he's usually often saving somebody. If you save somebody, that's helpful.
That's
so
true.
I think
that's true. In the Doctor theater, you save a lot of lives.
And Torres, yeah, I know she had a lot in early on. There was again, I wish I could remember when these episodes were, but you had like the Juggernaut stuff and the android stuff, and there was a bunch of stuff she did early on. Really need to rewatch this, but yeah, she's my strong player, I feel. And Neelix, again, it's early season, and I know Neelix is nice because I'm sure we have a lot of Kez episodes because she's still around, so Neelix is kind of like the connection to that, where I'm sure even though it's not about him, he's gonna have more to do in a Kez episode than a not Kez episode, I would guess. And then Wildman,
you would Kez.
I would, oh jeez. And with Wildman, it's like, okay, well, if she's in the episode, she's in the episode, so it's kind of like free money. It's free real estate, Philip. No, it's and
because my guess, and I didn't look at it. I think Seska is only going to be in like 4 episodes, so she's going to do the whole like cameo thing when that one guy's trying to contact her, and then I think she's in Basics Part 1 and 2. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. I could be wrong, Daniel. So with Wildman, I think they establish her just to show that she's pregnant, like you said, and then she just sits at the station every now and then I think the kid gets born this season, but don't quote me. Because I'm trying to think whether she has the baby on the planet in Basics. Of course, that's basic, so anyway.
Because that's the in between the finale, right?
Yes, and so Daniel, this is the one where you said everyone died, because Kim and Naomi Wildman are the only people who live in that episode.
Well, no, everyone dies in that episode.
Not. Oh, okay. You're right. All right. The other Kim.
Yes. Yep.
So do I count?
Actually, in fact, if you wanted to be technical, only the Kim and Naomi that we care about die.
Right.
So I don't know how you want to count that. I count that as everyone plus an extra Kim dies. But
you try to double dip. I see how it is.
No, I get what you're saying.
It really depends.
I would count it. Especially since he's Mike. Now it counts against me, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's all right. That's all right.
And so for team name, I'm thinking it's a little straightforward, but I think phonetically it works. You have Dr. Taurus, Neelix, Sam in the vein of Tinker Tailor, Dr. Spy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you're just going by the names? Okay.
Just going by the names, but I feel it's close enough that you could make that. And
Torres.
Dr. Taurus, Neelix, Sam.
Neelix. Sam, so is that your hashtag? Okay.
Well, God, that's a really long hashtag.
Well,
but
we got a lot of characters these days in Twitter, so it's a whole new word.
You could do DTNS. if you really wanted to.
You tell me. It's your team. So we're going to go, Derek. We're going to do the whole full thing because you're obnoxious. All right, so that works. All right.
Like, people are going to know where I stand, okay?
That's true. They will know your character.
They're not going to be like, I wonder who's on Team Benedict. Nope.
Traitors.
No guess. It's Dr. Torres and Neelix Sam on Darren's team. Sure. We know.
So again, this is a free for all game. I don't know how the rewatch is going to come. So maybe by I'll look up what the mid-season episode is, and maybe I'll check in with you all to let you know where the standings are, and then after we get to Basics Part 1, and we'll maybe come back in and see who the winner is of Fantasy Voyager. All right. Well, until next week, if you want to talk to me about how you think which of these three teams are going to do, you can find me on Twitter at NCPublicServant. Daniel, where can they reach Team Benedict?
They can find me on Twitter as well under the name of One Up Dan. That's the number one, not the word. As in, it was just a little light treason that we may have committed.
Oh, well remembered. And I do wonder if you're going to be trading any traders as we go through the season. All right. And Darren, where can people reach # Dr. Torres Neelix Sam?
They can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI, or drsci-fi.com. And actually, you can also listen to me on another podcast. Recently, I did 2 episodes of Missing Frames, one with Sean, where we talked about Willow, and one on a Missing Frames Junior episode with my daughter Elizabeth as she watched Empire Strikes Back. Or as she calls it, Star Wars Strikes Back.
Nice. I like
and that. It's 30 minutes of the most adorable thing you've ever heard. So I encourage our listeners. And we are actually going to be recording some new Good Night Moon after our 1.5-year hiatus. Just update the age counter on the bio. But yes, they can find us there and on many other places.
Well, you have gotten older, Darren. I didn't want to point it out.
Was I ever that young?
All right. Well, until our next wonderful Star Trek-filled episode, I'm Phillip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Daniel Prue.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.